What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Champion Living Podcast, the only podcast crossing the lines between the sport of rodeo and fitness. Today's episode, we are unlocking all things mental toughness and mindset. But before we do, this episode is brought to you by Hui Brands. We are rocking Hui right now. Just got all my new lids in. Check them out at getyourhui.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, not case sensitive. Going to save you 10% on all your Hui gear. Boys, how the hell are we this morning?
Man, I'm a little bit sore.
Are you sore?
Yeah. I wrote a push-pull legs routine for a client, and I just don't do that a lot, And I was like, well, if I'm gonna mess him up, I at least want to mess myself up alongside of him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just leave him to the wolves, and when he says it's too hard, be like, oh, ha, sucker. So I'm going through it as well, a little sore.
Yeah,
a little sore.
Are you gonna?
But it was good.
Or what?
Do what?
Are you gonna adjust anything in the program, or do you think it's just because it's a new stimulus for you?
Yeah, just a new stimulus. Like I pushed really hard on Monday. It was push, and I pushed myself pretty hard, and so Tuesday and Wednesday I kind of knew like where I was at, and I was able to gauge the intensity a little bit better. If anything, I'll probably make it just a little bit harder, honestly. Might add some volume a little bit on a couple of the days, but so far feels good.
Cool.
Nice pump.
Yeah,
Holy
just
crap.
getting the pump and get the
Dude,
pump.
Yeah, just getting the pump again.
It's been a year since Paul's done anything or more. That's just been
just
a pump workout. That's awesome.
Yeah, everything's been for strength or technique or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. That's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Hell yeah, dude. Love it. Logan, what's up in one Corbett's world?
Man, nothing. Just raising kids. We're all good. It's nice to be home. I haven't really had to travel much, and so anyway, and the next trip I have isn't for, I don't know, I leave on the 6th of March and we'll run down, and I'm really excited about the getting to go to Dallas, right there by, I think it's by where the Western Sports Foundation does their clinics in Frisco, the XFL/UFL or whatever. Now I'm going to get to go in the weight room for a day with the DC Defenders. And so they kind of, my stepdad just got down there and was sending me the information on the head strength coach. John Sisk is his name. And so I was kind of doing some digging this morning, and he's an OG. And so cool. I'm really, really excited to get in there and get to pick their brain and get to watch a little bit. So that's kind of the next thing I've got going on. So we're just living life.
What's your stepdad's role again in the?
He's a O-line coach. Yeah, offensive line coach. And this is his second year with them. So they had a big shakeup this year. Like everybody got laid off, and nobody really got an explanation right after the season was over. And then they found out, obviously, like there's the merger with the UFL, and then he was one of the few that got hired back to go back. And so anyway, it's been really cool. I'm excited to just get to go spend some time. I've never just hung out with him, just me and him, right? My mom's always been there, so I'm excited to get to just hang out with him for a day and get to get in his element. I've seen pictures of him like in the locker room breaking it down. I mean, he's in his 60s, like he's a big old dude, and but he's been a football coach his entire life. That is everything. It's his life's work, and so it's I'm really excited to get to kind of pick his brain a little bit and hang out and just see, get in the weight room, see coaches do what coaches do with elite level athletes. So It's going to be fun. It's going to be cool.
That's going to be really cool. Really cool experience, dude. That's awesome. Yeah, it is nice to be home though. I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It's spoiling me, really. I'm like, oh, another Saturday at home. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna? Oh, are we gonna? Look, I have options. As opposed to just being gone all the time.
Yeah, so being spread thin. But no, it's nice. I don't even travel. I don't think I travel again until May, which is
we'll go to Ryan's school in March, at the end of March, but that's just a couple days, and that's just down the road more or less for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then May does get wild, and then we'll be back to traditional. I'm sure our summer will be.
May doesn't even get
like
wild
nothing.
for me.
Is
I
it-
just
it's
go
a-
away for our OPA and come home. It's
Yeah,
freaking easy.
Yeah, you got yeah, May gets wild, a little wild for me. I've got a couple, like I get to go speak to the Little Britches Rodeo Association, Tennessee Little Britches Rodeo Association, the day before our OPA starts. So that's kind of a bam trip, and then we're gonna head up and do just kind of like a beginner fundamental school up in Ontario. I'm excited to get up to Canada and at the beginning of the month. So that's kind of where it begins, but. El Paso in June. Anyway, the summer will kind of take care of itself once we get there. Kids will get out of school. It'll be much better. But
pump the brakes. It's only February, thank God, but it will be here before we know it.
That's exactly right.
Easy now.
It's gonna be,
It's like June, July. Oh my God.
Yeah, we don't have to go that far yet.
Take a breath. You're gonna be all right.
Make it through February.
It's gonna be here before we know it, for sure.
No, it will. And the way that, man, I don't know about. For me, time just keeps going faster and faster and faster. Each day seems to just be here and gone before I know it. It's nuts. So that goal I had last year of being present, I've got to reestablish that again for the rest of my life, because it just keeps going quicker and quicker the busier we get. But we got some really cool things going on with Champion Living, and I'm fired up about it. The app, if you guys haven't downloaded the app yet, it's free to download. Check it out. We're adding all kinds of cool content to that. We just added the goat tying program to it, which has been a huge hit already. It's so cool to see. I've had so many emails from parents, athletes that downloaded it, just saying how the first week has been so much fun, and they've loved having something to follow and something to they can see how it applies to what they're doing in the arena, which is cool. So seeing this getting started at a younger age, I think some of these girls are like 12, 13 at the youngest, which is cool, like awesome for them. Yeah. And the program that they're doing is perfect for that. For anybody that's never worked out, or anyone that's just getting started, or anyone that's a little bit younger, this is a great way to learn how to move, learn how to properly land, which is I don't know if you watched a lot of goat tying. I know you guys have, but anyone listening, if you haven't watched any goat tying wrecks, dude, you should go check them out, because these chicks are like the rough stock riders. They are. They're the rough stock riders of the girls events, no doubt. Some wicked wrecks. Like, hurt me just watching them. But that being said, they got to prepare. They've got to get ready and prepare their bodies for hopefully not doing that on the regular, but every now and then being able to get through something like that, a fall like that.
Well, and be able to bounce back up when
Yes.
it does happen. You know what I mean?
That's the biggest.
Exactly right.
At least in my, I've got a very small goat tying experience in my personal, or my own rodeo career.
Bet you do, bub.
Yeah, I think I tied like 2 goats when they did it in middle school for the boys, but no, it seems like it's a pretty inevitable thing for a girl that's gonna make a career out of goat tying. Like Absolutely. You said, it's the rough stock. It's not if, it's when.
Yep. So, and we've got some really cool ideas coming from us that are going to be coming through the pipeline on the app, and it rhymes with masterclass. Sorry, I tried to think of a word that rhymed with that all morning. I couldn't. So
yeah.
It is. This is what it is. So we're talking about releasing some programs here to help event-specific skills. Obviously, our specialties are bareback and bull riding right now. Between all of our coaches, the girls will have some specialties in breakaway, barrels, things like that. But we're talking about setting up some courses that can help you guys work on things daily, weekly, to continue to project yourself or get yourself down the road to the goals you want to achieve.
Yeah, it's so important, because I know for me, and I'm sure you guys are the same, whether it's bull riding or bucking horse riding, every school that we go and do, it's the same 3 or 4 things that everybody needs to fix. You know what I'm saying? Or especially beginners. It always starts with these 4 or 5 essentials. And so there's always one or all of those things. Well, what about if we had an opportunity like this masterclass or these resources where people could get that without paying $400 to go to a clinic? They could be working on that on their own through these guided programs, then when they come to a clinic, how much farther ahead are you? You've already got A, B, and C out of the way, and so we can
You're not
really
having to break things down
we
from the
don't
very like you're not having to break old habits. Like you've got good
break
habits
that's
built. Now you just
exactly
refine it.
right. Yeah, you get a foundation, a correct foundation from the beginning, and now you can I mean, the sky's the limit. You're going to progress so quickly after that. So I think a master class or just this a little bit of skill specific stuff, man, it's so needed, and it's been needed for a long time, and I'm excited about us being able to get that going.
Yeah, it's going to be cool and just be another resource for guys to have and be able to keep growing, keep getting better. And being able to do that on their own is huge, because it used to be, even still is right now in today's world, you really need someone there with you that knows what the fuck they're doing to tell you if you're doing it correctly or not. Because I'm, for one, would get told something at a school, would feel it, but I was so new, and I go back home to practice it. I thought I was doing it right, but I wasn't. It takes a lot of correct reps. So goal with these classes is to give guys, girls, things to focus on during their practice, that it's like, checkpoint A, am I doing this? Yes. Checkpoint B, yes. C, oh, I'm not doing C. And you need to be able to do A, B, and C perfectly before you get to that next level of whatever it is. For us, it would be like before getting on a bucking horse, before getting on your first horse, you need to be able to ride that spurt board perfectly. So it's going to be cool,
dude.
We're trying
just the number of like requests or messages that I get like on how to build a stationary barrel, and like I know Logan's put out his video of like how to build a spur board.
Still need that for the YouTube channel.
It's like, man, it's just like the fundamental stuff. It's like, why is there not already? Why hasn't somebody done this yet? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
yeah,
we'll take the reins.
Yeah, we will, and it'll just be good. You know how there's a million ways to skin a cat, right? The saying, and that goes for bull riding, bareback riding, roping, whatever. What I mean by that is a lot of people do the same skill, but they do it very differently from each other, right? Based off of how they're built, physically, their strengths physically, their strengths mentally, like whatever it is. It'll be good to have one, like a standard. Like, here, this is what we should all. Like, we had a meeting yesterday, Logan, and in that meeting we were talking about guys do it differently, but at the very core, they're all doing the same thing. There's 2 or 3 things that they're all doing correctly and doing identically to make the ride go well, to make the run go well, to be successful. So that's what our goal with this is, to get those 3 things out there, get that foundation for you, and then you get to turn that foundation into yourself and get to make that whatever it is for you and make it fit your style and all that. So I'm excited. Don't mean to go down the rabbit hole on it, but
no, it's needed, and it's been needed for such a long time, but everybody's so insecure, I think, about like putting stuff out there, right? I mean, you see people just get ripped down. They can state facts online and just get absolutely demolished. And so the people that are going to the NFR right now, or some of these guys that maybe they're great teachers of the sport of bareback riding or bull riding or another rodeo event, and they're just not providing a lot of online content. They're not putting stuff out there, and a lot of it has to do with not wanting to put something controversial out there that might. Well, you're saying the same thing. I think of naturally, and I could be off base here, Paul, so correct me if need be, but I think of the 2 styles of bull riding teaching, right? We've got like maybe LeFew who might say to do one thing, and another coach that might say to do another thing. They're actually saying the same thing. They're using different terminology, and they're right. And so, but then people will argue it. And it's like, it's not even worth arguing, because it's the same thing. It's just with different words.
Yeah. You're being taught in through a specific lens. And I was talking to Josh about this when we were in Australia, is that like everybody's got a style like of riding. So like they have their style, and then their way they teach that is going to be biased through like their style. Like they're going to try and explain what they're doing. But if you watch videos of the greats, no matter what discipline it is, and you break it down, like how their body is moving, it's often the exact same. If not, it's very similar. And so there's a few repeatable things that nobody is talking about. Nobody is teaching these small, repeatable fundamentals. They're trying to put their own spin on things and, like, you know, coin a new phrase or coin a new term and say my way is the only way, when really that's not the reality. It's we got to focus on what's repeatable, and I think that's what our intention is here with these master classes, is getting that information out.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
It's the indisputable facts.
Pulling it down. Yeah.
Yep. Indisputable.
And the you were talking about, like, the insecurities. Like, man, I go through that. Like, I post videos like on the stationary barrel all the time, and holy crap! Like, every time I push send, it's like, ooh, somebody's gonna tell me I'm wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
you
no
know,
one
like,
has
that's
yet.
a real. Nobody has yet, and because like I'm
because
very
it's good
careful
information,
to not,
Paul.
well, yeah, I would like to think that, but like I'm very careful not to put like my own style or my own bias or whatever at the forefront.
That's the
I
most
boil it
important
down
part.
into the most fundamental thing. Like, okay, this is the most fundamental thing. No matter whether this guy's teaching you or this guy's teaching you, this part still has to happen. And so that's kind of what I focus on.
No, I love it. That's what we do at OPA too, you know, with the horse riding, the bull riding to come. So it's the bottom line, and it really is as simple or as tough as you want to make it. But that's the whole goal for us, is to keep it simple. I think that's a huge part of mental toughness as well, is not making it this huge thing. And that's what we're kind of talking about today, is what is mental toughness? Can you unlock it yourself? Is it a trait that you're born with? Or can it be taught? We're going to dive into that all right now. We've talked about this a few times here on the show, and mental toughness inherently is part of rodeo. I would say it's probably 95% of rodeo, but it's also part of life. It is about 90% of life as well. You've got to be tough between the ears. You know, what you think, your thoughts is what you become. So being mentally tough is not necessarily something you're born with. Paul and I and Logan were talking about this. Paul was reading some studies, and actually, in fact, there are certain parts of traits of mental toughness that people are more inherent to have, and they can be born with. But at the bottom line, it's an attitude and a habit, being mentally tough. And what are some, like, do you guys have examples of maybe personal experiences of how?
Yeah. So like.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll preface it with like what I found through the reading some research papers, was like, you know, we've talked about the 4 C's before, so I know there's an episode where we break down the 4 C's of mental toughness, so you can go back and listen to that one. I won't go over all of them, but I'll name them here. So they're confidence, challenge, control, and commitment. And so the studies found that confidence and challenge were more influenced by your genetic profile. So those are like, they have to do with your ability to take risks or your thoughts about your own abilities. Whereas like control and commitment were developed traits. And so when you think about control, we're talking about like physical control, mental control, emotional control. When we're talking about commitment, it's like your ability to stick to a goal over the long term. Like, how goal oriented are you? Those two things can be learned. And that's really good news, because with the confidence and challenge, you're probably in the line of work that requires the level of confidence and challenge that you need. Like, you're probably not outside of that, or else you wouldn't be taking certain risks or that type of thing. But you can work on your emotional control, you can work on your physical control, and you can work on your long-term goal commitments. And the best way to do that is through repetition, like small repeatable things. And so like we think about mental toughness as being like, you know, the superhero that saves the day. It was under the worst conditions, and he persevered, and now everything's bright and shiny. But that's when mental toughness might be displayed in the spotlight, but that's not when it's built. Like, it's built in the little things every single day. I think Ed Milet always says, like, the power of one more rep. Like, if he's almost done with his workout, like, he's just going to do one more rep. If he's sweeping the floor, he's going to sweep one more time. Like, no matter what he does, he just does it one more time. So then that way he's over time slowly building this habit of mental toughness.
Yep.
Do you think so? I've had this. I have absolutely no. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum as Paul, where all he has referenced so far has been research and data, and I'm about to just straight up go on opinion. But do you think that that some of those the things that we said were influenced by genetics, right? Confidence and challenge. Can some of those? I feel like so much of how we perceive mental toughness is actually given to us at a young age
Mm-hmm.
through experiences and lifestyle and things that happen. Maybe it's with our parents or with other. We just have these life experiences at a young age that we as we grow up subconsciously we hold on to as beliefs. And I know that there's got to be all kinds of research out there on that, maybe not pertaining to mental toughness and rodeo, but trauma or those things. And I've always thought that some of those guys, because it's a tangible difference at the rodeo, right, between Casey Field or Tilden Hooper, and looking at them as they're running their hand in their rigging and they're telling jokes with a stock contractor and they're hanging out and they're just and then other guys that have to be amped up, guys like Tim O'Connell who are very, very intense all the time. They're both elite level athletes, but they attack the challenge of riding a bucking horse differently. And I wonder how much of that comes from upbringing, you know what I'm saying, and experiences maybe that we've had in our youth. Anyway, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
There could be a whole rabbit hole there because there's a field, a newer field of study called epigenetics, and so like that basically, and to summarize that is like your environment determines how your genes display themselves. So like you might have certain genes on the inside that are ready to be used, but the environment, your nutrition, your sleep, your upbringing, your mental state, all of that will determine how those genes actually present themselves on the outside. So there's more study being done around that because it like I said, it is a newer field, but I feel like that would fall into that category.
Learn something
It almost falls into arousal too, like how an athlete handles stress.
Absolutely,
and
it does.
That's very, very different for people. It can be different for each person as you go down the line. Casey and Tilden thrive off of the more you pour to them stress, the better they like it. You run the same horse under another guy that's green and maybe not as confident, and he is not having the same fun conversation, giggling back and forth with his buddies. It's very different. But yeah, that's a really, really interesting point. I'd love to see more if they did study stuff about that. But at the bottom line, I think what we're talking about is like you're overcoming adversity throughout all of these things in your upbringing, as your childhood, in rodeo, whatever it is. And that's a huge component of mental toughness. And that's, man, I've always said this. That is why I think cowboys and cowgirls are the best at overcoming things and the most mentally toughest, because they constantly are facing adversity every single day. Whether they're competing or practicing or whatever, there's something. You're working with animals. Things come up. Things happen all the time that you can't control, and you have to figure out ways to either get yourself out of a pickle or make something better. And we see that all the time in this. And you're going to face adversity as a rodeo athlete. Scores aren't going to go your way. Stock's not going to buck the way you want it to. It's not going to run the way you want it to. It's going to kick out of your tie. Like, whatever it is, you have an opportunity right there to work on your mental toughness, because how you react determines how mentally tough you're going to be with that. Paul talked about an emotional state being a huge part of that. Controlling your emotions and your mental toughness is great, because you can let that eat you up. And tomorrow when you got to do it again, it's going to go probably damn near the same way it just did. Or you can look at the things you can control. What did I do well? What couldn't I control that didn't go well? Okay, well, that doesn't matter. I did what I can control. I'm going to keep doing that. And then tomorrow, you're not lost in this huge trail of thought that's against you,
Yeah, it's super cliche to say, but it's like you're either winning or learning, right? Like that was given to me by my rodeo coach back in the day, but that really is what it is. Every opportunity, every time you nod your head, every time you back in the box, it's an opportunity to go win, and it's an opportunity or an opportunity to learn, sometimes both, but always at least one or the other, and where we can actually learn. And if we treat that, if we remove ourselves, right, from how every ride or run isn't a make or break moment. And so if we're able to zoom out of the course of our career and take some of the pressure off, then we're able to objectively look at the ride or the run and say, okay, this is what I learned there, and then go be better tomorrow. Because as Doug was saying, he summed up my whole career.
Me
I
too.
let Thursday affect me Friday, and
Me too.
Friday affected me Saturday, whether it was good or bad. If I was 88, I remember the first time I won a pro rodeo, and I'm never going to see a broke day, and I was going to spur everything they loaded underneath of me forevermore. And the next day I was like 62 on a hopper, and I was like, cool, so I don't have this figured out anymore. So either way, every day is a new day.
The other cliche that runs alongside of that is like champions have a short-term memory. You guys heard that one? Yeah. So like, and that pertains to losing and winning both. Like, I think Ty summed it up pretty good when he was on the podcast about like, when you win, like you've got to forget that because it doesn't matter tomorrow. And so like, it kind of goes both ways. Like you can't ride on a win through the next week. And you know what I mean? You've got to forget about that win and get back to the basics. Same thing with the loss. Like you can't dwell on a loss and let that carry you through. You got to forget about it right then and make the correction and move forward.
Yeah, that short-term memory is huge when it comes to being mentally tough, especially in this sport.
But that's a habit too. Like
you have to practice it.
You have to practice that. Like it's not just gonna.
And that's what it comes down to is consistency and practice in everything, and that is part of mental toughness. You have to put in the effort to actually make yourself show up for practice or workout or mobility sessions. Like instead of thinking about this is cool, I had someone message me the other day and is a female, and she's like, I've been doing the pliability app, think it's really cool, but I hate it. She's like, I hate doing it, and I get so bored, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, cool. And I follow her too, so I know she's kind of like me in the sense that she's someone that just goes hard at whatever she does. She's going to go all in. So that sitting still is killing her, literally. She's like, I cannot do this. And I said, why don't you switch how you're thinking about this to making yourself be as comfortable as you possibly can. Think about, try to make the goal to think about how much this does not suck the entire time. And until you can do that, you haven't mastered it. And it was like mind blown for her. She's like, what? No. She's like, you know me. This is like, you just unlock the key. Like, I'm going to do this until I can do it with a smile on my face, But that was the same with me. I was the same way with it. I hated it. But when I started to learn that the breath work that's tied to all of it as well, I can control my central nervous system. I can control my brain. I can literally get lost in counting my breath, and 20 minutes can escape and be gone, and like that, done. Dude, that's huge. That's when you start unlocking big things for your body, for your game, and it just correlates so much to the sport being able to control the chaos. Chaos isn't literally happening when you're stretching, but up here in the brain, fuck yeah, it's happening. Yeah. You're like, what is no, this hurts. I don't like this. This is, oh, no, not cool. But you get that to quiet down, you just won.
Yep. So many athletes, they hear this like mental toughness being a habit, and they go the opposite direction where they just go as hard as they possibly can in the gym day after day after day. Got to have a heart rate up, and we got to do really hard stuff, and I got to have sweat angels on the ground, and I got to do all this stuff for mental toughness. And all they're doing is just wearing their body out before it's not sustainable. They're wearing their body out, and those guys will always end up injured at some point in time. Probably it wasn't at the rodeo. That was just where the injury, it fleshed itself out, but it had been taking place in the gym for months leading up to that. But that's how we've attacked mental toughness. And if we would switch, and if we would think of it the way that Doug just described it, mental toughness, I know that this workout is not as intense as I would like it to be, but I know that it's what's best for my career moving forward. That is mental toughness. Being able to say that. Anybody can go in the gym and do 1,000 burpees and sprint over here and ride the air bike and do all those things for 30 minutes nonstop. Anybody that's ever wanted to be an athlete has probably done some of those things in an effort to. Anybody can do it. But being able to say, I need to rest 3 minutes between sets because I want to have maximal output on my next set, that right there, for those kind of people, takes mental toughness. And that's a way in which you can establish mental toughness as well, is actually doing the things even though you're not highly motivated to do them.
Yeah.
Trust.
I just
in the
thought of a personal
process.
anecdote of like how to like of building this habit and like a success story. So back in college, I was a resident assistant, so we had to be at the school like 2 weeks early to help set up the dorms and everything. And we had like a couple semi full loads of trailer or
Oh.
semi trailer
Semi-truck
loads
full
full.
loads, there you go.
There we go. We
I was like,
of
what is he
furniture
talking
to
about
unload.
right now?
Yeah. Well, oh man, that was tough. Semi trailer loads of furniture that needed to be unloaded, and it was like 105 degrees in South Arkansas. And I was on the back end of like a 21-day no complaint challenge, and I don't remember where I got it from. It was probably like Psycho Cybernetics or Eric Thomas's motivational videos or whatever. But I had like prior to this committed to like not complaining for 21 days, and
Dude.
I'm pretty lazy. Like if it's too hot, if it's too cold, if it's too hard, like I'm out.
Not
So
Paul.
I'm complaining for
Say
sure.
it
I might
ain't
do it.
so.
I might do
Say
it,
it
but
ain't
I'm
so.
complaining the entire time. So this was like a huge thing for me, and by the time we had gotten to the, we're all of us, all the resident assistants are unloading these trailers. It's hot, it's sweaty, it's nasty, and somebody had looked at me and they're like, "You haven't complained all day," and I was like, "Huh, it worked." Like that was like the aha moment for me. Like over the course of 3 weeks or whatever, I had built up to where I could do things and not voice complaints. Even though I was probably complaining in my head, I wasn't wearing it on my exterior. I wasn't letting other people get influenced by my own agony or anything. Like I was probably motivating them just by the way I was carrying myself. But that was like the first aha moment for me. That was like, oh, I can practice this stuff and it actually pays off.
Absolutely. Dude, that's so. I've talked about the restaurant before that I worked at, I think, and the story
Yeah.
with that, and it was the same exact thing. That shit is contagious, man. Your thoughts really do make you. Like whatever you're thinking, the majority of your thoughts is what you are becoming. And if your thoughts are negative and this sucks, it's gonna suck. But if this ain't so bad, it's not gonna be so bad. And that's huge, man. That's a huge, huge thing, and that gets into kind of the qualities of mentally tough athletes. You have to be able to do that. You have to be able to be relentless in your pursuit of mental toughness. And everyone, again, thinks about, like Logan was talking about, like, let me go run my head through a fucking wall 10 times, and I'm going to be so tough in my head, it's not even funny, you know? And it's the complete opposite. It's actually being coherent enough to think about training smarter, not harder, in order to get to the goals I want to reach. And instead of sprinting on the bike and doing push-ups until you die, taking that rest time between sets because there is a purpose because of like the rest time is there because we want you to be able to express the maximum effort on your next set, right? We never get on bucking horses or bulls or have to run another calf 30 seconds after we done the first one. It never happens. You have at least 5 minutes, probably at the very least 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So training your body in that same sense, like it's energy systems 100%, but that's getting off on a whole other tangent.
Next episode.
Next episode we'll talk about energy systems, but being mentally tough enough to do the things you think, to not do the things you think might be right, if that makes sense. So hiring your coach, doing the workout, and then going to do insanity after it because you think you need more.
It takes mental toughness to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not comfortable for us. It's not something we want to do. Is we want to say, like Doug's been studying for the CSCS, like I studied for a year for that. And there were a lot of times that I came to something in that with a prior held belief about something. And I had to say, I'm wrong. And that hurts. We don't like that. We have to say we don't. And that takes mental toughness to say, you know what? Maybe the high school wrestling coach who helped me 10 years ago, and I've just been doing those workouts still to prepare for rodeo. And I've seen some success in my rodeo career. And so it obviously, like, you know, it was working. But to say maybe I need to pursue a different path takes mental toughness, right? And we cannot assume that just because you've done one thing and you're successful, they're not always correlated, right? Some guys are successful in spite of their training, not because of it. And so being able to say, hey, I don't know, and I think I need some help, or even just asking for, I'm not even like making a ploy for clients here. I'm just saying, asking questions. I have guys all the time DM me and they're like, hey, my shoulder's a little messed up. Like, what would you recommend? Well, okay. They said, I don't know. And they had the humility to ask. I'd love to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that takes mental toughness too. Doing something hard every day. You know, we talked to Sam in Houston last year, coming up on a year ago. And what did he say? The young guys he was traveling with, that they tried to do something hard every day, whether it was go get in the, ice cold river or something like that. They woke up and they went and found something hard to do. And how many rookies did we see at the NFR last year? A third of the field. 5 of those young guys that do something hard every day blasted through and made the NFR.
Yeah, that's a huge part of being mentally tough. You gotta do the thing, and you gotta have some humility and know when you don't know and when to ask for help. That's probably our biggest downfall as young men, especially, is ego gets in the way big time, and it gets hard to ask for help. You think you know it all. Yeah, we all have for sure.
100%.
And then that's where, as you get older, you start learning from past experiences, and being able to learn and not dwell on them is a big thing. I used to try and learn from past experiences, but I ended up just shitting on myself the entire time I thought about it, rather than doing what we talked about earlier, which was, hey, what went well? What did you do in your control well? Cool. Got that listed. What did you not control that you could have? There was 1 or 2 things that you can fix. But the other stuff, that don't matter, So being able to learn from those past experiences without saying, oh, I just ruined that was my whole year. It's over, That's not it. Learn from those past experiences, and don't get bogged down by them. If you're not losing, you're winning. Is that what you said, Logan? I mean, learning.
Yeah.
You're not winning, you're learning. Yeah.
If
you're not winning, you are losing. That's
if
for
you're
damn
not
sure.
winning, you're losing.
But super, super important there. And then, man, take some risks. Learn from them. You got to step out on a ledge every now and then to level up, and that's how it happens. Get uncomfortable and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's where, again, a lot of this mobility, breath work, the stuff that seems mindless, visualization, this is where it really pays off, and on those level up moments. When you're willing to take that risk, you're prepared for it. You may not know how it's going to turn out, but if you do the things you can control, it's going to go well. So, and that's the coolest thing about this. Like in our sport, that's all you need. Most of the time, we have no fucking idea how it's going to go. Not even a little bit. Half the time you get off and be like, I don't know what happened. It felt good. They'd be like 85. You're like, hell yeah. Awesome.
Or
like, I did good.
You're like, that felt horrible. I'm about to be 67. They're like 83. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah. But you just took care of the things you can control, and that was it. So, that's we've talked about fixed and growth mindset before, right? Being stuck in that fixed mindset, not going anywhere. This is a huge part, is embracing that risk-taking ability in yourself and stepping out, because that's where growth happens.
Make no mistake about it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's absolutely no mentally weak people in the winner's circle. Whatever it is that you want to accomplish, wherever it is that you want to go, if it's in rodeo and you want to make the NFR, the PBR finals, it doesn't matter. All of those people have developed mental toughness, whether they know it or not, through their life experiences and doing hard things. So there's absolutely there's absolutely no exceptions here. If you want to get there, you have to develop mental toughness in some way, shape, or form every day throughout your career. Being able to bounce back, all the things that we've talked about today, it's a necessity for rodeo athletes and for life in general.
For life in general, man, to be a winner or anything, you've got to be mentally tough. It's essential. Paul, you got any tips to wrap this up, buddy?
Man, I just was thinking that this would be a great time to plug the Optimal Performance Academy, because
Yeah.
the things that we've covered here today, like we're going to actually, what we do at OPA is we actually break them down and teach you the step-by-step process of like how to set a goal that you're actually going to stick to, how to work towards that goal, how to set up your day so that you're making progress towards that goal daily, like you have your little checklist or whatever that might be. We go through, explain visualization techniques in detail and all that stuff. So if you are struggling with this and you are a rough stock rider and very soon time to event people, plan on making an OPA, because we'll make sure that you've got all the tools you need before we leave there.
Yeah. It is an investment in yourself and will change your entire trajectory of your career. Don't say that lightly.
No.
We've already seen
fact.
Already seeing it happen. So check it out. Check out OPA. Go to our website, championlivingfitness.com. Click on the Optimal Performance Academy link. Have all the information there about our current bull riding registration is open. We do have some positions still available, which is awesome for you guys. Get in. If you're even thinking about it, get registered and come. You will not be sorry. Horse riders, get ready. We're going to be releasing that soon. If you are a horse rider and you're listening to this and you are interested in coming to OPA, message one of us and we'll get you on early registration right now. Cool. It's in November. Be the first week in November. That's all I'm releasing right now. But, yeah, get on it. We'll take some early registrations for that. But bull riders, we're going to be closing registration soon. So make sure you guys are checking that out, getting on board. We cannot wait to see everyone down there in Pueblo. It's going to be an incredible opportunity. Guys, we got to thank our sponsors real quick. Colorado Craft Beef. Still loving their meat sticks. It's been becoming a huge staple of my afternoon snacks. Some quality protein. Man, they have all kinds of great options for whatever your needs are as a family or even an individual for your beef. It's all U.S. ranched. Got to support our U.S. ranchers and U.S. farmers here, guys. Check them out at coloradocraftbeef.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word. Going to save you 10% on all your beef. Beastmaster Rodeo, like we always say, leveling up the game, man. They are changing the game of rodeo gear, and we could not be more proud to have them in our corner and be a part of their team. Check them out at beastmasterrodeo.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving24, all one word, not case sensitive. Going to save you 10% on all your rodeo gear. Guys, until next time, we'll catch you later.